You have got to go back to New York. You will land on your feet. So I'm gonna have to ask you to get out of my house.
Jenna's mother had grown tired of letting her daughter stay with them after her breakup. Jenna had stopped working and moved back in with her parents, and it had already been a full year. Her mother, worried that Jenna was stuck in place, told her it was time to start living again, and, hoping it would push her to recover, asked her to move out. Taking her advice to heart, Jenna renovated an old apartment and moved back to New York. Once she settled in, Jenna went to see Darci, an old rival, and asked her for a job. Although their history had been tense and complicated, Darci agreed to hire her, but only under one strict condition. Jenna had 90 days to make a drastic improvement in the company. Determined to prove herself, Jenna accepted the challenge and officially started working there. After a while, Jenna attended a party with her friends. The night, however, turned out to be uncomfortable, as many people already knew about the emotional struggles she had recently endured. Trying to stay out of the spotlight, she found a quiet corner to relax. That was when she met Eric. Although he was younger, he carried himself with confidence and spoke with a natural sincerity that disarmed her. His compliments were warm and unexpectedly genuine, and by the end of the evening, they shared a spontaneous kiss. Not long after, Jenna began to regret what had happened. She had been drinking that night, and realizing just how young Eric was made her uneasy. Overwhelmed, she quickly left the party and went home. The next morning brought an even bigger shock. She discovered that Eric was Darci's son, and that he had just been assigned to work directly with her. What she had thought was a fleeting encounter suddenly turned into a complicated and awkward situation. Eric noticed how tense she was and reminded her that they had both been drunk, suggesting that they simply move past it. Since their jobs required them to collaborate closely on creative projects, they agreed to remain professional and focus only on work. Later, Eric mentioned the incident to his friends, who advised him not to get involved, especially with someone from work. But Eric admitted he was still interested in Jenna, despite the risks. The following day, they went on their first assignment together to visit Greta Blumen. Eric recorded Jenna as she did the introduction, but when they met Greta, things didn't go as planned. Greta was grieving the recent death of her beloved peacock and could barely speak without crying. Jenna tried to ask questions for the project, but Greta kept breaking down, making it impossible to continue. On their way back, tensions rose as they argued about how poorly the day had gone. During the heated exchange, Eric received a text message. Jenna, curious, asked if it was from his girlfriend. When he said it was from his ex, she became visibly uncomfortable and asked if their breakup had anything to do with her. Eric was surprised by the assumption, insisting that what happened between them was nothing. The argument escalated quickly until Eric, frustrated, decided to leave and catch another cab. Later, Jenna confided in her friend, explaining that working with Eric was making her job harder. She couldn't focus around him and had begun doubting her abilities. Her friend reassured her that she would be fine and encouraged her to move on. Trying to help, her friends even attempted to set her up with another man, though Jenna was hesitant. Back at the office, she received a gift package from her ex, Brian, but it no longer affected her. Soon after, Eric walked in and apologized for their argument. Jenna told him not to refer to her as old and bitter, while he replied that he had only said that because she called him a spoiled, immature kid. Eric admitted that he had looked her up online and now knew a lot more about her past. After clearing the air, they agreed to start fresh, be friends, and focus on their work. Although Jenna initially worried about the age difference, she began to realize it didn't matter. They bonded over their shared love of classic film legends like Nina Mae McKinney and Greta Garbo. Jenna invited Eric and his friends to a dinner party she was hosting, one arranged by her friends to introduce her to a potential new date, and Eric agreed to come. Jenna and her friends prepared everything for the evening. Eric arrived with his friends, and later, the man Jenna's friends had set her up with, Jimmy, showed up. Jenna and Jimmy talked about his work and interests until Eric joined the conversation. Jenna mentioned that Eric and Jimmy were both Guyanese American, and Jimmy spoke passionately about how visiting his homeland had helped him grow as a person. The night grew lively, filled with laughter, music, and dancing. Jenna tried to focus on Jimmy, even though Eric's interest in her was clear. Tension sparked when Jimmy teasingly called Eric son, and an argument broke out between them. Just as things were about to get physical, Eric's friend Tim had an allergic reaction, and everyone rushed to help him, ending the confrontation. Later that night, Jenna and Eric found themselves alone together. Eric asked her what she truly wanted out of life. Jenna admitted that she wanted to love deeply and completely. As he was about to leave, she pulled him back and kissed him. The moment grew intense, and they became intimate that night. The next morning, Jenna came up with an idea for their advertising project, a concept built around nostalgia. Their teamwork improved significantly, with Eric's skill in videography helping bring her creative ideas to life. After completing their shoot, they celebrated together. Jenna suggested they forget what had happened the previous night, worrying about Darci finding out. Eric reassured her that as long as they kept doing their jobs well, they would be fine. They agreed once again to keep things professional, but that resolve quickly faded. Eric teased her, they kissed again, and eventually spent the night together. That evening, they talked more openly and grew even closer. Eric shared stories about his father, who had died when he was young, and how it had always just been him and his mother since then. He confided that he wanted to make a film one day to honor his father's memory. In turn, Jenna opened up about her 10-year relationship and how deeply the breakup had affected her life. Over time, their partnership evolved into something more than professional. They blended their creative success with an increasingly personal connection. However, one evening while they were at the movies together, a model who has worked with Jenna noticed their chemistry and realized there was something going on. Jenna immediately began to worry about what that could mean. The next day, Jenna's friends showed her a magazine article written by her ex, Brian, suggesting that he missed her. Jenna dismissed it, saying he hadn't even checked on her once when she moved back in with her parents over the past year. Eventually, Darci called Jenna into her office. She congratulated her on the project's results, but her real goal was to ask what exactly was happening between Jenna and her son. Darci believed Eric's impressive work came from his crush on Jenna, and she warned that she didn't want him getting distracted. Jenna quickly reassured her that Eric would stay focused, but the conversation left her uneasy, knowing it could cause problems later. Darci told Jenna that their company would have a photo shoot with the New York Times the next day, and that she should work under her supervision. Jenna agreed. Their project turned out to be a major success, gaining thousands of followers just as Jenna had promised Darci it would. They were featured in the New York Times. Even with the success, Jenna worried about Darci's reaction if she ever found out about the relationship. She wanted to keep things private. Eric told her he was ready to go public about their relationship, but Jenna feared what it could do to her job and reputation. Eric told her he loved her, and Jenna confessed she felt the same. During her friend's daughter's birthday party, Jenna met Eric's ex-girlfriend, Madison, and felt uncomfortable seeing the two of them interact. When Eric introduced her only as a colleague, Jenna felt angry and told him to make more effort. He tried to show affection, but she couldn't bring herself to kiss him in front of everyone. He became upset and left. Afterward, Jenna tried reaching out to Eric several times, but he didn't answer her calls or texts. Feeling frustrated and confused, she went back to her apartment. When she arrived, she was startled to see Brian waiting for her, clearly drunk and seeking attention. Brian, who had recently lost his mother, was struggling with loneliness and wanted someone to talk to. When he told Jenna about his mother's death, she felt sorry for him and decided to drive him back to his house. Eric saw Jenna comforting Brian and leaving with him, and he assumed she was no longer interested in him. After making sure Brian got home safely, he invited her to come upstairs, but Jenna refused. She asked how he got her address and learned that Darci had given it to him. Brian accused her of being cold because of her new relationship with Eric and mocked her for being involved with a younger man. Jenna didn't let his comments affect her and left without another word. The next morning, she learned that Eric was working from home and decided to visit him. She contacted Eric's friend through her own friends and got the key to his penthouse. She apologized for how she acted at the birthday party, telling him that seeing him with his ex made her jealous. Eric told her he had come to apologize too, but he had seen her leaving with Brian. She explained that nothing had happened between them and told him she loved him and only wanted to be with him. They reconciled and seemed ready to start fresh. While they were sharing an intimate moment, Darci walked in unexpectedly and was furious at what she saw. Darci asked Jenna if this had happened before or after she told her to stay away from Eric. Eric was upset when he found out that Jenna had made promises to Darci behind his back, but he couldn't quit his job since his mother stopped him. Darci fired Jenna, refusing to listen to any explanations about their feelings for each other, then kicked her out of her house. Jenna went back home, crying, as memories of her time with Eric came flooding back. Months passed after their painful breakup. Eric continued working, while Jenna eventually reached out to him. He had since left the company, moved out of his mother's penthouse, and was now living in Harlem, working on a documentary about his late father. He had also received a grant to support the project. Jenna had started teaching at Columbia University, and both were doing well professionally, though they still missed each other deeply. When they finally met again, Eric thought Jenna wanted to talk about getting back together. Instead, she told him she was pregnant. The news caught him completely off guard. He was stunned and unsure how to handle it, realizing he needed time to absorb the reality of becoming a father. Jenna told him he didn't have to worry about anything and that she could take care of the baby alone. Eric grew angry at her response, told her he needed time to process everything, and left. Darci stopped by Jenna's apartment, clearly unhappy about the documentary Eric was making. For years, she had protected him from the painful truth about his father's past. Eric's father had lived a troubled life on the streets and died tragically when Eric was still a child. After his death, Darci had been left to raise her son alone. Her own parents had disapproved of her relationship and cut ties with her, refusing even to attend the funeral. Since then, she had carried the full weight of responsibility for Eric's upbringing. Although Darci had once disapproved of Jenna and Eric's relationship, she began to see things differently after visiting Jenna. She remembered how abandoned she had felt when her parents turned their backs on her and didn't want to repeat that mistake now that she had the chance to be part of her grandchild's life. Over time, Eric began to accept and embrace the idea of becoming a father. During a hospital visit, Jenna and Eric found out their baby was a boy, and they were both excited. Jenna suggested naming him Otis, honoring Eric's late father. Darci invited Jenna and Eric to the Darzine Gala event. There they finally revealed their relationship and Jenna's pregnancy by kissing in public. After all the conflicts and setbacks they had faced, Jenna and Eric found a sense of peace and happiness together. And with that, the movie ends. We hope you enjoyed our video. Watch the next recaps on the screen, and don't forget to subscribe for more amazing recaps. See you in the next one.